Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Limbus Company video. Today, I'm going to be going back and visiting some of the identities that I missed in the meantime, starting with Lineage Ishmael. She is a pretty strong identity, all things considered, although maybe not so much in this fight, considering she's quadruple fatal to these envy attacks. And in fact, I think I might need a reset because of that. But anyways, she is definitely a very strong identity. Just because she does a lot of damage. And yes, we do in fact lose here. Oops. So she is a poise identity, which is a very nice benefit, considering the fact that poise identities are just generally all around pretty good. And that's where most of her damage comes from, although not all of it. She focuses more on haste rather than poise, honestly. And that's because, depending on how much haste she has, she needs to have at least 3 haste. All of her skills get an extra coin. And like much of the other Blade Lineage identities, if she is in a Pride Resonance, then she gets a fairly significant buff in the form of her Dokebi Arms status effect. That makes it so she just takes less damage, as well as allows her to gain extra haste, and it gives her 2 extra poise count at the end of the turn. Let's hope we can survive this. I don't think we can. Nope. That envy skill is too much, honestly. I need to get lucky and just not have them do it. Or cheat and use the Durante effect to just get a free ego use to change our resistances. But in any case, once you do get her up with at least 3 haste, that's when she actually starts getting pretty good. But what is the best way to actually get her to have haste? Well, Dokebi Arms, obviously, gives her 2 haste for on-skill use. Her skill 2 gives her 2 haste as well, so as long as you use her skill 2 and then also activate her passive to get the Dokebi Arms, that instantly gives her the extra haste needed to get the extra coins. And then the skill 3 also gives her the haste, so if we use the skill 3 and the skill 2, then that should give her enough. But the challenge is actually getting the RNG to allow that to happen in the first place. In any case, one other thing that she is capable of doing when she does have 3 speed, or 3 haste, is if you do use her defense skill and she happens to lose a clash with the defense skill, then that will activate her to claim their bones attack. Which is very, very nice, I'll say the least. This is a dangerous turn, because if we're not careful, and by careful I mean if this ego skill doesn't target correctly, which I don't think it can. No, it's always missing this back guy, no matter what I do. And no, there's no real good targeting here, honestly. Best thing to do is do this, and then activate that. The defense skill. And then, frankly speaking, another defense skill. And just hope that she can actually... Well, actually, we're fine here because of the haste, since she, in her passive, it prevents her from getting staggered when she does activate to claim their bones, so... As long as we have these two defense skills active, and then the ego will stagger these first three, and then the defense skills will either win this clash or lose the clash, but because she loses the clash with 3+ speed, it activates to claim their bones, and that prevents her from being staggered. So as long as we use this ego first, we're fine. And just like that, we're good to go. Unfortunately, the one downside right now is the fact that we don't actually want to win the fight just yet, because we're very low on ego resources, and more specifically our health. So just gotta spam defense skills a little bit until we get enough to actually survive the next few fights. Although I think we are below this stagger threshold, so if we do just end the fight right now... Yeah, we're two hit points below the stagger threshold. So if we do end the fight right now, then that means that we will simply not have a stagger threshold in the next fight. However, we could also have an extra 25 times 3. 75 health, which is probably better, honestly. If we just get one extra lust ego resource. And the final thing that Ishmael does is when she has 15 of her special, I forget what it's called. We'll see in a second here. But her special, not charge status effect, the Mook Workshop EU Type 2 Blade Draw Thrust Force Dokebi Fiber. It's a mouthful. When she has 15 of this, she can activate a special skill. The Even the Balanced Lucent Rippling Flame, which is just a very strong attack.
방금 어떻게 하신 거죠? 깜짝 놀랐어요. 지켜볼 가치가 있겠지. 승객들, 뭔가 기분 좋은 일이라도 있었던 거야?
Now we can just use the ego every single turn, and we basically just win. This is why you always start with blue Zippo lighter, by the way. It just makes these starting fights so much easier. Both because you can fuel the healing support passives, and also because, well, you being able to use an ego is by far what makes these regular encounters so much simpler. In any case, I do really like this identity, simply because she is pretty strong, but also just because she's an identity that has an assist defense. And any identity that has an assist defense is, in my opinion, much better than any other identity. And that is, I will admit, that is a little colored by my bias as preferring to solo most encounters. Because if you are using less identities than you are supposed to, then the assist defense skill becomes substantially stronger since it effectively just gives you one extra clashing skill per turn. And that's just really, really effective. So I do like one of the favorite teams I like to play, especially when these identities first came out, was using just this Ishmael identity with Bamboo Hat and Missile, so that I could really take advantage of his new ego, and then also Ishmael was there to basically make sure that the actual soloing attempt wasn't completely miserable, mostly due to her assist defense, like I said. And there's the old wooden doll, pretty good. And another skill 3. Very, very good to get another skill 3 this early. Bloody Gadget as well. But getting the skill 3 is very, very beneficial because, well, like I said, Ishmael's passive to get her Dokebi arms, it needs Pride Resonance, and her only Pride skills are her skill 3 or her counter or her defense skill. So when she is soloing, it's definitely, you definitely really want to replace her skills with a skill 3 at some point, because otherwise you're almost going to never be able to activate her passive unless you're willing to shill out a few defense skills here or there. And in fact, that's why I'm avoiding using the skill 3 on this turn, just so it's more likely for us to be able to actually deal damage the next turn when we can activate her passive. Because you do want the Dokebi arms active, like, as much as possible, honestly. Since they do give her so much extra stuff. Like, 15% damage reduction is nothing to scoff at, especially when you are soloing. Unfortunately, these skills were backwards, so that clashable defense was definitely wasted there. And if we're not careful, we will end up corroding. So because of that, because I don't want to do that, I'm just gonna spam defense skills for a few turns here. Probably just like 2 turns. Or just 1. Because we're gonna get the... yeah, to claim their bones. And then that's gonna trigger the... yeah, we don't get any extra stall going, unfortunately. Very, very awkward that this counter, this defense, I keep calling it a counter. It's not a counter, it's a clashable guard. It's just in the wrong spot. I have to override a skill 2, unfortunately. These very small mob fights, they are not very threatening to Ishmael, I'll say that much. She is a very, very strong identity. Also, we corrode here. Very cool. I was trying to avoid that, but it's kind of very, very impossible to avoid corroding in this fight if you're losing too many clashes and get a little bit unlucky. It really is just like up to RNG whether or not you corrode in this fight, because there's no way to guarantee that they're actually capable of building up the sinking stack. It's just depending on what order of skills the butlers end up using. And we got unlucky enough to get the few that managed to build up a sinking stack on us. But yeah, you can just see how strong this Ishmael identity is. We don't even have that many ego gifts currently, and she's still capable of one-shotting like most regular enemies. Very impressive, I'll say the least. Oops. And that gives us the mana-shaped music box, so getting staggered is no longer an issue. And Devil's Share as well. And I guess we'll take Hell's Chicken, why not? It's giving us some good stuff at the end here. But this is gross. Like, I don't like this at all. You gotta take the event nodes though, because getting 2 tier 3 ego gifts is just too good to pass up. But like the fact that both event nodes and the elite encounter are on separate fights that you can't avoid, or you can't take them all in succession, it's definitely unfortunate. We don't actually need this right here, so I guess we'll do this. She is technically a bleed identity as well. So if we do get lucky, which we do. Contaminated Needle and Thread. Very good for any bleed identity, which she technically is. I don't think she's the best at it. Like, she only has 1 bleed potency, 2 bleed potency, 1 bleed count, 2 bleed potency there, 1 bleed potency there, and 3 bleed potency there. So not the greatest. She can't maintain a bleed stack at all, but she is technically a bleed identity. So that counts for something, I suppose. I need that. And Emerald Elytra. Very cool. Now we can fuse the Book of the Homeland Swordplay. Pretty good. Everything except for this last line activates, so. And this one too, I guess. Which that's an identity I need to do as well, which honestly I forget that that S-Corp Hong Lu identity even exists sometimes. He's just so forgettable. Let's see, we can also get, yeah, Sundered Memory. And we could also get something else, but we'd have to give up some other good stuff for it. Not worth it. Papa Bongi, though, he's never a difficult fight. It's such a shame that he's not particularly difficult either, because his floor has some of the best ego gifts in the entire Mirror Dungeon. In fact, I'm pretty sure he does have the best ego gifts in the entire Mirror Dungeon. I mean, Sharp Needle and Thread, that thing's overpowered. Genuinely. Well, being able to beat Papa Bongi in only 3 turns is pretty good for a solo identity. Typically, if they're not like totally efficient or if they don't have attack weight, they tend to struggle to beat him. Or I should say they usually end up beating him in like 4 turns at least. So 3 is definitely a good sign. And there is the Tango Marinade and Nebulizer. And then nothing here is useful, so. Floor 3. What do we want for floor 3? Nellie's actually pretty good for the Chief Butler's Secret Arts. You get a lot of benefits for being fast, and we are using a fast identity, so. And these fights in between against the ring cosplaying as the Oofy, they're not that threatening because we do have anti-bleed. Of course, these guys in particular are a little bit threatening because they're mixed of bleed count and bleed potency, which that's what makes the ring on this floor somewhat scary, is when they do the mix attack, which is kind of rare, honestly. Usually they only focus on either potency or count, usually not both. But on this turn they are doing both. But like I said, we do have a few anti-bleed support passives, so it's not that bad, honestly. It is still pretty bad, though. I mean, that's like 160 damage right there, just from that bleed damage alone. And there's nothing really we can do to avoid it, honestly. We don't really have that much healing. Yikes. Yeah, we lose. Even if he didn't kill us there, the bleed damage would have done enough. Hopefully we get luckier this time, so they don't inflict so much bleed. Which it looks like the answer is yes. That is technically less bleed damage. Now instead of 140 or 160 or whatever it was, we only have 48 damage. That is significantly better.
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나갔어. 괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 이 기세로 계속 나아가 보자.
But yeah, the ring not threatening, not really. It really is just a very RNG fight. Depending on how much bleed they inflict, and in what order they inflict it as well. Like, if you can end up clashing against the only skill that inflicts, like, bleed count, or the only skill that inflicts bleed potency, then it ends up being kind of fine. Honestly, I'm surprised that our defense skill is clashing as high as it does, because it is supposed to be losing power equal to how much poise potency she has. I think it might be the Dokebi art. What does that exactly? Or is it the Mook Workshop? It's the Mook Workshop blade that does it. It's not poise. I don't know why I thought it was poise that did it. Nah. The more Mook Workshop blades she has, the less power, the less clash power her defense skill has, so the more likely it is for her to claim some bones. But that's definitely harder to do when you are soloing with her, considering the fact that she's going to be spending the Mook Workshop blades all the time with her special ultimate skill. Pen of Nostalgia. Nice. Not needed, but okay. Greycoat. Even better. That's infinite healing because of our skill 2. And... anything else? Crushed Memory. Technically that's good, but I don't think we can get Lunar Memory. At least not with how long we're going to be doing this run for, so not worth it. And here is Nelly. Pretty easy fight, all things considered. She's only really scary if you're fatal to pierce damage and don't have enough damage yourself to stagger her before turn 3. As long as you can stagger her before turn 3, easy fight. Which I do believe we have more than enough damage to do that. Yes, easily. Stagger her on turn 2. I could waste a skill and use a defense skill here, but meh. Honestly, that is the biggest problem with this identity when using her solo, is just being able to activate her passive with the 3 Pride Resonance. Almost impossible. And that's Nelly's book. Well, Smoke and Wires, which isn't that useful, but Finifugality is. And why not do the LCB checkup? She is also technically a Limbus company identity, so some of these ego gifts on this floor are actually pretty good for her. Illusory Hunt, very nice. Or is it very nice? More damage is scary. I'm already getting very scared of Hoenheim. Ishmael just does so much damage in these fights that, yeah, I'm getting very worried about our success odds.
이것 봐. 환상체를 제압하는 건 우리만으로 충분하잖아.
All I can do is pray that Greycoat is enough. It probably is, but yeah, like the second Hoenheim gets staggered, she's gonna be hitting him so hard with anything that isn't a skill 2. And there's a good chance that's gonna just end up killing her. We might have to spam defense skills, honestly, and just wait to get, skill 2s.
발검, 차단. 비와 요격, 함수.
If it really becomes that hard to win,
나라도 그랬을 거야.
떨굴 수밖에.
that is definitely the best option.
大きな打撃を与えました。
비와 요격, 함수. 정리노하.
But we'll see in Hoenheim's fight itself.
직원이라면 당연한 판단이겠네. 누구라 떨굴 수밖에.
부위를 도롱냈으니 전투를 이어가기 제법 수월하겠어.
You know, it's kind of funny that Ishmael's death line, or not death line, but her on-kill line, is trap the stones, and we're currently fighting stones. It's pretty funny.
모든 부위를 파괴시키는 서서히 힘을 잃어갈 거야.
비와 요격.
좋았어.
겨냥 단수가 이어졌다면 누구라 떨굴 수밖에. 훌륭하구나. 발검, 차단. 누구라 떨굴 수밖에.
땡그랑 부위가 조각났어.
단수가
계속해도
이어졌다면
돼.
누구라 떨굴 수밖에.
힘을 준 것 같아.
있는 힘.
Well, time to find out how bad Hoenheim is.
저것들은 언젠가 다시 재생하겠지.
I'm always scared about Hoenheim
부서지고
every time I fight him. He's one of those bosses that can always be difficult no matter what.
이 얼마나 완벽한
And it's just because he's the gimmick boss. He's like the gimmick boss. There's crushed memory again. Not very useful. Oh, come on, where is it? Imposed weight, that's decent. And I'm just gonna get an extra skill 2 here because I'm very scared. Hoenheim is very scary. He really is. Broken greatsword as well, nice. And I think that's it.
등롱을 밝혀 앞길을 열어라.
Unfortunately, we didn't get any of the Limbus company ego gifts.
우리 부서의 직원 숫자가
There's still a chance to get some later on though, so
이유가 있어. 발검, 차단. 뭐 그만큼 탁월하다고
at least one,
된다는 점을
maybe.
명심해주면 좋겠어.
Okay, let's see how much damage we're doing with a skill 1 or a skill 3.
발검, 차단.
How bad is it?
비와 요격, 함수.
Not that bad, honestly.
리스키 다루게 되었구나.
Not yet, anyways. But yeah, once Hoenheim gets staggered, that's when it really gets bad.
이제 남은 시간이 없어. 당장 눈앞의 희생을 신경 쓰지
And
마.
unfortunately, Greycoat doesn't actually heal
하는 순간 직원들의 목숨 하나하나가 대수일 것 같아? 해야 할 걸
if you
하자고
hit
관리.
shield, so
발검, 차단.
we might be dead here. Yeah, we're not. We didn't get any healing from Greycoat there.
비와 요격, 함수. 정리노하.
And that's death. Very cool. Hoenheim beat us. Like I said, scary fight.
다음 기회가 온다면
오늘도 즐거운 하루를
인정사정
시작이네.
없어야 할 테고. 차단.
He always is a scary fight
비와 요격.
because he always has the potential to do exactly that.
방금 공격은 좋았어. 이대로만 계속해보면 좋을 텐데.
Like frankly speaking, what killed us there is the fact that Greycoat doesn't actually heal if you're doing shield damage. So if I actually had one of the skill 2s attacking through the shield at the end there,
발검,
we would have been able to heal back at least a little bit and would have survived. Probably.
상대방이 특수한 공격을 하려나 봐. 이 정도는 대비할 수 있지?
It might be a good idea to just use the ego, honestly. Or use an ego, I should say, not the ego.
발광, 차단. 귀와 요격, 함수, 정리화.
Yeah, that skill 3 is doing a lot of damage to us.
그녀의 도움 없이 거대한 파도 앞에선 기분이 어떠니?
The shield is a real problem. 200 health of shield. And we need to get through every turn. And every time we attack it, we just take more damage. I think we're dead again. That skill, that extra skill 3 is killing us. Because I can't control it. And it's the shield from Hoenheim as well. This is a gross fight. I'll say that much. We're like right at that perfect threshold where we're strong enough for Hohenheim's gimmick to be threatening, and also we're not strong enough to be able to just burst through his shield instantly so we can get that Greycoat healing and negate it.
좋아. 얼른 끝내고 밥 먹으러 가자고.
발광, 차단. 귀와 요격, 함수, 정리화.
해냈구나. 나라도 그랬을 거야.
Like, you gotta keep in mind, Greycoat only heals 20% of the damage you deal, whereas Hoenheim, he deals 15% of the damage you deal back to yourself. So, I think we have to kind of spam egos, honestly. Just because it does a lot of damage and thus it has a lot higher probability of bursting through his shield. Like right here, this turn is the real big problem. Because we're just not doing anything to his shield. Like I said, Greycoat can't heal through shields, so maybe it's best to just not attack on that turn, honestly. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking, like, it's probably better to just not attack on that turn. Because all we're doing is dealing damage to ourselves. Yeah, just don't attack that turn. And then use the ego, because it does more damage. And thus we'll break through the shield quicker, and we'll be able to actually heal us a little bit. Yeah, see, we healed 2 health. And then almost died to the regular attack. And then we die anyway. Gosh, Hoenheim is so difficult when you don't have actual good damage or healing. Well, I have the strategy, at least. I know how to beat him. Or at least I know what to do to give me an actual chance, because nothing else is working except this one strategy. What is up with the camera right here? It's really jittery. Very strange. Oh well. Well, point is, in order to actually beat this guy, you do need to get kind of lucky with him critting. Specifically, you need to make sure he doesn't actually crit too much. Because if he does, you just take too much damage. And yeah, if you get down to like 60 health here, that's pretty bad. And then you can't attack here because you just don't deal enough damage on that turn to make it worth it. Use Tidal Elegy on this turn because it just deals the most damage, so you can more likely break through his shield. Although I don't think it actually can break through his shield here. And then you need to pray that this skill doesn't crit. Which it does. But I think that's enough health to survive, barely. Barely enough health. And then turn off his... weaken his defense passive, because otherwise he has way too much health. And then here, Ira. You cannot survive this turn without it.
방금 공격 다음에 다른 개체에게도 다시 해봐줄래? 영상으로 남기면 다른 직원에게
One of the main reasons why is because of yeah, this skill right here. It just kills you if you use it without Ira, because it just does way too much damage, and at this point with your health being so low as it is, it's just you're dead.
한눈 팔지 마세요. 메말은 당신에게 파도는 반드시 밀려올 테니.
So yes, there is Hoenheim.
죄인의 형상으로도 제법 노력한
Finally defeated.
하지만 그럼에도
Very scary boss when you're at this perfect threshold of not having a lot of damage while also having enough damage for his passive to actually be threatening. Also, Ishmael, please hit your coin rolls. Thank you. Very difficult boss, that one. Been a while since I've
악당 퇴치 성공!
had to work that hard.
오늘도
Like I never use Ira for any bosses, but you have to use Ira in that fight. There's no option
평화로워지는 건 기쁜
to
거야.
avoid using it.
근데 내일도 지금
And then these are kind of useless. And we get even more useless stuff. Very cool. And the final floor, well, you already know which one it's going to be. But the question is, can we get it in the normal refreshes? And the answer is, no. Yield my flesh.
잘 가르쳐 주신 덕이죠.
Broken blade, very nice. And probably nothing that useful here. Late Bloomer's Tattoo, could get another skill 3, but meh, whatever. Resolution is very good. And Worn Hilt is okay. Gives slash power, but meh, not really worth it. And that's basically it.
승객들
And Bamboo-Hatted Kim for the final boss.
발광 차단.
He's gonna be substantially easier than Hoenheim, simply because he doesn't
귀와 요격.
have any real powerful gimmicks of his own.
직원이라면 당연한 판결이긴 해.
Like, the scariest thing he has is the amount of bleed damage he inflicts on turn 1, but that's why we have the anti-bleed support passives of Princess Rhodia and Fengkun Honglu, so that it goes down to literally 12 damage.
일하는 데 힘든 점이 있다면 언제든지 나와
So yeah, Bamboo-Hatted Kim, not really that scary. And unlike Hoenheim, who makes the healing provided by Greycoat substantially weaker, because it's only heals like 5% of the actual damage it deals. Kim here Kim here, we have the max amount of healing in. So, yeah. Pretty easy. Of course, he still staggers us because Ishmael is fatal to sloth damage, but doesn't matter because of the music box. The one unfortunate thing is that for Ishmael to actually reuse the coin on her skill 2 and skill 1, and also her ultimate skill, she needs to have her Dokebi arms, which means she needs 3 Pride Absolute Resonance. Which is not very easy to achieve when she's solo.
방금 공격은 좋았어. 이대로만 계속해보면 좋을 텐데.
Still doable, but not the easiest.
정말 멋진 활약이었어.
돌아오고 있어요. 뒤틀림에서 다시 사람의 형상으로. 살수의 방식으로는 절대 도달하지 못했을 결과일 테죠. 이젠 좀 알 것 같네요. S사로 떠나기 전까지 제가 현장 추리팀에서 무엇을 배워가면 좋을지.
And that's how I beat Mirror Dungeon 7 hard using only Blade Lineage Ishmael. It says a lot considering the fact that her new boss is the more difficult fight in comparison to her old boss, but ultimately, she herself is still a very, very, very strong identity. And the best part about it is she doesn't actually need to be used with the other Blade lineage. She's very independent on her own. But of course, all of the Blade lineage benefit from being used with Bamboo Hadamerso, so it's always a good thing to use her with him at least. Anyway, that's it for me. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!